Good morning, kids. How is everybody doing? I have my coffee. I hope you have yours too. Welcome to another episode of the Abyss AM edition. I am, of course, your host, the Eternal Abyss. What's up? What's going on? Usually well, before I get into stuff, let me just greet everybody first on all the different platforms that I'm on. Hello, everybody on YouTube and Periscope and Twitch and DLive and Bitwave and Float.app. I'm streaming on that as well. Hello, hello, hello. Normally I always have this kind of concern in the back of my mind where, when I do my Thursday streams in the evening and then I do the stream in the morning, I go, geez, I hope I have enough material that I'm going to be able to talk about between last night and today. Well, there's always stuff to talk about. With the news cycles the way they are right now, I really don't think I have much of a concern moving forward. Just saying. Well, there's definitely a couple things to talk about here, and there's definitely things in the news cycle that we can chit chat about. Like I said, I have my coffee. I hope you guys have yours as well. Actually, this morning I decided to be a little fancier than usual. I don't only have coffee; I have cappuccino. So I'm bee's knees apparently. Hold up, let me get my dashboard up here. If it'll load, sometimes it loads, sometimes it doesn't. Let's see what the fates have in store for us today. Will the Bitwave dashboard load? Yes. Hey, we got that. We got that. Oh god, the playlist bot terms of service. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Good times, good times. For people that don't quite understand what I'm talking about, if you go to Bitwave and you look at the terms of service, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not going to spoil the fun. But you've been warned. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Anywho. I'm good. I don't need to see the terms of service. I'm all good with that. So, something interesting has happened when it comes to North Korea and South Korea and their relations and things like that. Excuse me one moment. So apparently there was a 47-year-old South Korean who was trying to defect to North Korea, and North Korea, they found this guy in their waters and they killed him. They shot him. They killed him. And Kim Jong-un has issued an apology for the, quote, unfortunate killing of a South Korean official. Quote unquote unfortunate. His body was burned in line with anti-coronavirus regulations. Kim Jong-un said that he feels very sorry for the unfortunate incident. I mean, it's very interesting that he's even apologizing for anything, let alone killing someone. I mean, I feel like I slipped into Bizarro World a little bit here, in the sense that with all of the stuff that's happening in the Middle East, all these peace talks, like the protests that happened in China, in Hong Kong against China, and that the people of Hong Kong were waving American flags, wanting to be like America, have the freedoms that America has. You know, wanting people like Donald Trump to intervene. Having dictators like Kim Jong-un apologize for killing someone. I mean, the world is seemingly a much more bizarre place as time passes, it seems. So, I just found that very interesting as a news item. Not so much because of what actually happened, but the fact that Kim Jong-un actually issued an official apology about that. It seems like very out of character for me. It's pretty amazing. Apparently, like 10 shots were fired at this South Korean. So that's very, very interesting to me that that's the actions that Kim Jong-un took in regards to that. Sorry, I gotta blow my nose again. There we go. Sorry about that. My sinuses are deciding now to just kind of like, hey, let's just open up all the floodgates. Why not? Who cares if you're on stream? Sinuses do not break for anybody, apparently. Apparently, a rep Attica Scott has been arrested. The Louisville Police Department apparently arrested Attica Scott. Because she's part of the protest. She's the one that authored Breonna's Law, which didn't even, I don't even know if it got a vote. I don't even think it got a vote at all. And her daughter. Not only did the rep get arrested, but her daughter got arrested. And they're being charged with felonies because they attempted to storm a church that dared to offer safe haven to protesters. Oh no, I'm sorry. I misread that. Jeez. See, I haven't had enough caffeine yet. They arrested Attica Scott and her daughter on felony charges, and then the LMPD attempted to storm the church that dared to offer safe haven to protesters. Well, yeah, they're breaking the law. They're harboring terrorism. Of course, that the police have every right to storm that church. I don't care what church it is. You know, and if these pussies want to go out and be like little fascist brown shirts and demonstrate, and not only demonstrate but actually, you know, do all this crap that they're doing, setting stuff on fire, rioting, looting, etc., face the music, you little punks. Stand on your principles, if you really have any. So now the question to me is this rep, Attica Scott. She's a House rep, isn't she? The question that's in my mind is, let's see. She's a member of the Democrat Party, of course. She's a Kentucky representative. She's a Kentucky, and she's a representative in the Kentucky House of Representatives. Can someone with a felony serve as a representative? I don't believe you can you? She's charged with rioting. Oh, the Brianna's Law was passed and signed in Louisville. It was passed, it's not passed statewide, though. If passed nationwide, it would ban a no-knock warrant across the state. But the thing is, that wasn't even a no-knock warrant. So, she authored a law based on something that didn't even exist. This is what I'm talking about. This is I've talked about this in the past. I'm gonna go off on a little soapboxing rant here, but I've talked about this in the past. Hey, Super Susie, welcome to the stream. Hi, Meave, welcome to the stream. Hello, everybody. I've been looking at the news item, so I haven't been looking at chat per se. Morning. Good morning. Good morning. So, this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the problems of governing through emotion. Now, I'm not saying that people have to be Vulcans and they shouldn't feel any sort of emotion or empathy or anything like that, or suppress all that in every situation, including when you're creating legislation. Obviously, you want to have legislation that does have humanity in it, that does empathize, that does take into consideration how it affects people. However, if you create a piece of legislation solely based off an emotional reaction, or you create a piece of legislation because of some situation that happened, and you don't know the facts, you just don't like it, and you just react in that fashion, and you author a piece of legislation, you could have some incredibly dire consequences as a result of that. You could have a great hindrance to things like law enforcement, like healthcare, like infrastructure. There's a lot of problems that can arise if you're just going solely off of emotion because of a perceived problem that you think exists in society when it doesn't even exist. That's the problem. That's the problem that comes about with an emotional way of legislating and governing. Pelosi says good morning and good Sunday. She doesn't even know what day it is. She's that far gone? Really? Ouch. That's not good. But anyways, apparently that just happened last night. So we'll see what happens if this person can even stay in office now at this point, because to my understanding, you can't... I don't think you can serve if you're a felon. So, moving forward, we're going to talk a little bit more about some other stuff. Now, I've already talked a little bit about Hunter Biden, this whole human sex trafficking, prostitution, getting $3.5 million from a Russian oligarch. This is the thing, okay? I was thinking about this whole thing last night after the stream, and I was thinking about one thing in particular. One thing in particular that stands out that nobody really wants to address, and now some people are talking about it on social media. I've seen some people tweet about this. And I'm going to tweet about it too. And it's basically that Obama knew. Obama knew. What happened with the Steele dossier, what happened with this whole ridiculous nonsense of this is the thing with the Steele dossier, actually. Let me backtrack a moment. Along with all the crap, excuse me, along with all the crap that has been going on in regards to what's going on with Hunter Biden, what came out with Durham has already released some information showing that the Steele dossier, the main person that the Steele dossier based all its information on, was someone that the FBI was considered a national threat, and that they were monitoring him and investigating him for, I think, approximately 2 years. So this guy that they've been investigating for 2 years, this is their basis for the Steele dossier and for all the FISA warrants and all the bull crap that resulted in all the investigations, the Russia collusion, a hoax, and the failed impeachment attempt, the failed coup attempt, actually, to be more accurate. So this is the thing that really surprises me. Nobody in the media is really talking about this. I haven't seen anybody in CNN talk about this or MSNBC. I don't even know if Fox News has talked about this. But this goes all the way up to Obama. He knew. Obama knew. He was well aware. He was in the circle of this whole thing. Which is why he insisted that it be done by the book. Done by the book. The prick knew. The guy knew. He should be investigated and he should be arrested if he is indeed involved in any sort of criminal activity of that kind. This is some serious Banana Republic stuff. I thought that in my lifetime, I would never see this sort of thing in the United States. Now, I am not naive. I know that there's corruption in government. I know that even in the United States you have corruption in government. I know that there's no corruption-free government. I know that there is a lot of politics and personal agendas and all that kind of stuff that comes along with it. I know that that's present. I just never imagined that it was to this extent. Yeah, it never occurred to me that it could be that bad. What's going on? What's that link about? Let me check that out real quick. Oh yeah, Sweden. Sweden's a mess. I've read about this. This has been going on for years now in Sweden, where all the migrants that they have been bringing in have there's been a huge spike in crimes, and it's most of it is coming from immigrants. It's coming from these migrants coming in. And nobody wants to talk about it because of political correctness. Nobody wants to address the reality of the situation. And Sweden has become the rape capital of Europe. And nobody wants to address that at all. So, yeah, that's what's happening there. Sweden's a mess. It's really a mess. So it's a shame. It's a shame that they don't want to just face reality. There's a lot of talk right now about mail-in ballots. Now, last night I talked about a story that happened out in Pennsylvania. Well, guess what? More's coming out in the news here. So you have 1,000 plus mail-in ballots found in a dumpster in California. They were allegedly discovered in the Republic Services of Sonoma Sonoma, I don't know how to pronounce that, County Central Landfill. This is huge. So you have this in California now. So Pennsylvania, California. Bear with me here. Now you also have Greg Abbott tweeting out that a Gregg County, Texas commissioner and 3 others were arrested today on election fraud. This was yesterday at 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m. The commissioner was indicted on 23 felonies, including election fraud and fraudulent use of vote-by-mail ballots as part of an alleged vote harvesting scheme. So add Texas to the list. So we have, are we keeping tally? Are we keeping count? We have California, we have Pennsylvania, we have Texas. Here's another tweet. After the FBI announced they found the mail-in ballots of soldiers filled out of Trump's wait, hold up. Sorry, I was reading another tweet that I was looking at. I saw another tweet or another news item. Let me see if I can find it. I can't seem to find it now. Yeah, I can't seem to find that tweet anymore. Anyways, the point is this, though. Even if I can't find that tweet, if this is happening in Pennsylvania, if this is happening in California, if this is happening in Texas, this is happening all over the place. Okay, let's just be frank. Mail-in ballot election fraud is happening. Mail ballot harvesting, is going to happen. This is stuff that needs to be addressed, and this is one of the things that, like I said last night, I really wish that this would have been addressed sooner. Because at so late in the stage, it's going to be difficult for anybody to go in and actually fix it completely. They can do some stuff now, but it's going to be problematic. Just drinking my cappuccino, excuse me. So, I really wish that Donald Trump would have addressed this sooner. He says they are monitoring and looking at this whole thing. So hopefully they are. Hopefully they'll be able to ensure a certain level of integrity of the elections. But this is some pretty egregious stuff. And people that say that mail-in ballot fraud doesn't exist, you're deluding yourself. You are deluding yourself if you think that this doesn't exist. You're living in a fantasy land. This is happening. Okay? This is happening right now in the United States, and you should be scared out of your mind that your vote is being nullified by people, especially people on the left, because right now that's who's been committing these things. They've been throwing away. They've been focusing on Trump states and Trump-friendly states, and they've been focusing on that, and they've been targeting people that are voting Republican. And I know that that helps your candidate, perhaps, but that should scare the ever-living snot out of you that the party that you support and the politicians that you support are okay with this sort of thing. That they are okay with undermining an election because they want, at all costs, to win. That should frighten anybody. Any party or politician that is willing to do that to win. That's dictatorship stuff. That's tyranny stuff. That's the fascism stuff that everybody on the left keeps touting and yelling. Oh, Trump is fascist. They keep yelling stupid crap like that. Or the Antifa is like, we're anti-fascist. But this is what real fascism looks like. When elections are just a joke. When elections are just a display, a show. Something just to entertain the masses. Make them think that they have some sort of contribution to their government. When the elites want to decide everything for you, including who's your leader, that is when you should be concerned. So I say be concerned. And I say hold politicians' feet to the fire. I don't care what your politics are on this. This isn't a matter of conservative versus liberal. This is a matter of, do you care to have integrity in the election? Because really, if you do, this should be a concern. Now, if you don't give a rat's ass about the integrity of an election, well, guess what? You don't deserve to even be in this country and to vote for that. Period. And you don't deserve any of the benefits of being in this country and the milk and honey that comes from this country. Because I, for one, as a citizen, am concerned about this. This is something that, as a citizen, should concern you a great deal. And if you're okay with our country, with the United States, if you're okay with this country devolving into a banana republic, to the point where you have garbage stuff that happens like it happens in African countries and in South American countries and Venezuela and things like that, well, no thank you. You can kindly leave the country and let us fix it. There's plenty of other countries in the world. You don't need to be here. Renounce your American citizenship if this country is so evil and so bad and so garbage. Renounce the citizenship. Stop using any aspect of the American economy to enrich yourself. Divest yourself from the United States. Divest your finances. Liquidate your finances. Divest yourself from the United States. And go live in, I don't know, Afghanistan, or go live in Chile, or go live in Guatemala. I don't know. Go live in Canada, or go live in France. I mean, France is no longer France, though. I mean, I wouldn't go to France because France is no longer France. But anyways, but that's up to you. You can go. The point is this, though, as I mentioned. As a citizen, apolitically, this is something that should concern you. Melting pot burned, I know, right? Imagine you would say what, Susie? Sorry, what? What did I miss? I wasn't paying attention to chat. What happened? But speaking of elites, and speaking of elites deciding for you and trying to tamper with the elections, you had, I reported on this, I talked about this, about Bloomberg. No, I wouldn't, Meave. No. But I reported about Bloomberg paying to bail felons out of in Florida to try and tamper with the elections. That's electoral fraud. That's election fraud. The AG of Florida. I was about to say the AG of France. The Florida AG is opening an investigation into Bloomberg, as she should. Because this is some pretty egregious behavior. It's the hamburger grinder more than a melting pot. Yeah, it's I don't know, the melting pot isn't melting that well anymore. It's definitely not. But I think that's a good thing that Bloomberg is now under investigation. And I mean, the damage that he's done is already done. That's the problem. The damage that he created is done. Yeah, I wouldn't go to Australia or New Zealand either. Um, though I would love to visit Australia only for the fact that I'm a big fan of parrots, and I would love to visit countries where they have parrots. That's all. Oh well, yeah. See, that's the beauty of America, Super Susie. That's the beauty of America, that I can say stuff like that, and the government can't. Well, the government can't censor me. Social media can, sorta, but not even. They're not really supposed to do that if they claim to be an open platform. So, but however, yeah, that's the beauty of the First Amendment right here in the United States. I could essentially say whatever I want as long as I'm not inciting violence, which I'm not. I'm not inciting violence. I'm saying if you're so happy with the United States and we're such an evil country, why are you even here? And I'm talking about American citizens. I'm not even talking about immigrants. I'm not talking about migrants. I'm not talking about anything like that. I'm talking like people like myself who were born here. I was born in the United States. There's plenty of natively born Americans here of generations upon generations, and these people say that our country is oh so terrible, oh so garbage, oh so crap. Then go. There's nobody keeping you here. So that's my take on the whole thing. But I'm glad to hear that Florida AG is investigating. Excuse me, just reaching for an itch here. Ashley Moody is the AG of Florida, and she says that she opened an investigation into former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg. Yeah. So once, hopefully, this investigation will be swift. I hope that the investigation is swift. I hope that they find the facts, and if he is guilty of committing election fraud, which I believe he is, he should be charged. Apparently it's Mark Hamill's birthday. Yeah, I don't care. Actually, screw you, Mark Hamill. You are the type of person that would insult children because you don't like the politics of their parents. So, to me, Mark Hamill, you're a piece of shit. I have no desire to give you happy birthdays or anything like that. So, thanks for ruining a franchise. Thanks for ruining the Joker for me in the animated series. Jump in the lake. That's my birthday message to him. I sound a little bitter, don't I? So, kind of going back to this whole thing about there's so much crap going on right now in the news with this whole Christopher Steele thing. Oh, Wisconsin. That was the other state. I found the tweet that I was looking for. It was Wisconsin where they tossed mail-in ballots. So we already have Pennsylvania, California, Texas, Wisconsin. This is happening in every state. Okay, every state. The way to prevent election fraud through mail-in ballots is go vote in person. So, to me, that's the best way for you to prevent any sort of fraud from happening. That's really it. If you can go to the supermarket, if you can go and get your hair done, if you can go to the gym, if you can go for a walk in the park or anything like that, if you can go from point A to point B and take reasonable precautions, if you're concerned about any sort of virus or anything like that, you can vote in person. Forget the mail-in ballots. Forget this whole garbage that they're trying to pull. Forget it. Just forget it. So that's what I would say. It's like it's not worth the risk. It's not worth the risk. It's not worth giving people and at least the power to screw you. So it's not worth it. Oh, it's frustrating, honestly. It's really frustrating to hear about that kind of stuff that's going on. It's really frustrating. I hate to see this sort of thing happen here in America. On the opposite side of the spectrum, though, there's reports that the Republican voter registration surged in Florida, beating Democrats by 41%. So that's why I'm saying, vote in person. Vote in person. Don't let the Democrats steal the election from you. Oh boy, let's see what else is in the news to talk about here. Hold on, I'm going through my feed and through everything because I had put some stuff aside. Oh, actually, there is one thing that I wanted to talk about. This has to do with all this. Nope. Wait a minute. Wrong thing. Okay, so. Oh, are you kidding me? Did it lose it? I lost it, didn't it? Nope. There you go. Got it. So, this is kind of related to COVID-19, and it relates to, like, there's been a lot of talk about people leaving New York and leaving certain urban areas, but specifically a lot of people talk about New York because New York is one of the biggest cities. It's the biggest populated cities in the United States. There's a lot of the economy of New York, especially New York, but the American economy is affected by how New York fares. If New York fares relatively well when it comes to business and employment and things of that nature, you kind of see a trickling effect where it can affect other parts of the country because a lot of business is routed through New York City. So I was looking at an article last night, actually, where it's from LinkedIn News, and I'm gonna put on my supreme reader hat here and go a little bit through this to talk about this. Whoops, clicked the wrong thing to do. Yeah, but Venture, even the mail-in ballots, the ones that were thrown away in Pennsylvania, those were military mail-in ballots. So, but the article starts out with this. Has COVID-19 made you reconsider where you live? New data from LinkedIn's economic graph team on city migration patterns amid the pandemic found that smaller metro areas are gaining. Some famous big cities are slipping, and hints of a de-urbanization can be found across the country. So essentially, I'm not going to read the entire article, but I want to just read this first part because it kind of sets the stage of what I'm going to talk about here. There's been with COVID, and this started with pre-COVID actually. COVID just accelerated it, but there has been a pre-COVID migration from urban areas to non-urban areas, or at least from big urban areas to smaller urban areas. So what have you seen here is that the 2020's migration trends, smaller cities gain ground. With the onset of COVID-19, many cities' ratios of population inflows to outflows have changed markedly from April to August. So these numbers that I'm talking about are specifically April to August. Biggest gains in net arrivals. So these cities have had a big flux of people coming in. Jacksonville has a 10.7% increase of population coming in. Salt Lake City, Sacramento, Milwaukee, Kansas City. You have like Salt Lake City 9.6%, Sacramento 7.6%, Milwaukee 4.5%, Kansas City 3.9%. This is the stuff that's very interesting. Now, the steepest decline in net arrivals is New York City, 23.4% down. They've had a 23.4% loss of people coming in. San Francisco Bay Area, 21.1. Seattle, 10.6. Boston, 9.9. Portland, Oregon, 9.67. I find this fascinating because I was reading about this sort of thing even before COVID. There has been a lot of dissatisfaction in cities like New York City and California. There's been for quite a while people talking about kind of an exodus of people leaving, and it was slow. It wasn't a marked like exodus out of the city in droves or anything like that. But when you have a large drop, like a quarter of your previous influx of people, a quarter, it's dropped by a quarter. It's pretty crazy to think about the implications of that, because the implications are that A, people don't want to go there anymore, obviously, and then B, you also had people leave, like Cuomo was begging people to come back. That is a huge loss of revenue for cities like New York and cities like San Francisco. It's all fun and games until you don't have the revenue to run your city anymore. And that's not gonna really hurt the elites too much. The people that are in power, who that's gonna hurt? That's gonna hurt your everyday Joe that is just trying to make a living. That they're trying to pay rent, they're trying to pay their bills, they just want to go to work and live their lives in relative obscurity. Well, yeah, in fact, question C, that is correct. There's been for a while already discussions about the economic struggles that New York is facing. I mean, you had reports about what am I talking about? The New York Department of Transportation, NY DOT. They kept increasing their fees for the trains and such. Well, no, you're going to have a reduction in trains. You're going to have a reduction on all those services. But it's not just that. New York City has created a level of dependency on all the welfare programs that they have. You know, they were offering free pre-K, and they were offering all this free stuff and healthcare, and this they put all these rules and regulations to make it harder for businesses to build buildings out there because of the Green New Garbage that was proposed by AOC and Bill de Blasio, being the absolute retard that he is, just goes yes, let's go along with that, because he's an idiot, because he doesn't think about what the consequences of the policies. the real estate laundering bubble to pop. Well, honestly, rents have already started going down. They're not a dramatic drop. It's not like it's gone from $2,000 a month to $500 or anything like that. There hasn't been a giant dramatic drop, but there's a slow decline happening. There's a decline happening in rental rates. And if things keep going and they lose more people and they lose more revenue, This is going to be a big problem for New York City. I have always said that I think New York, once this whole COVID thing is gone and they actually put in someone who's not de Blasio and Cuomo in government, I feel that New York has a chance of recovery. I mean, it's happened before with Giuliani. Giuliani was able to turn New York into an incredibly prosperous and livable place. So it's definitely doable. But it's going to be difficult now. It's going to be harder to get people to come back. It's just there's nothing that they are doing that would appeal people to stay in New York right now. And I've mentioned that I've been in New York. I've worked there. I've traveled around the United States. I've been in multiple states. Okay, so I've seen New York firsthand, and I can tell you that New York is an interesting place because it's a layered kind of thing. Certain areas, it's so huge that certain areas are better, certain areas are worse, certain areas are more prosperous, certain areas are less prosperous. You have more crime, less crime, all that kind of stuff. But the issue that New York has is that they keep putting in bad politicians who put forth bad policies, which this is the consequence. The consequence is people are leaving. The consequence is less income for the city, less revenue, and there's even like this is unheard of as of late that you actually have apartments sitting empty now because they can't fill them. This is something that is shocking because the market in New York City has always been you have an apartment on there, within a week it's gone. Within a week the lease gets signed. But now you actually have apartments that are empty, that are sitting empty for extended periods of time. Yeah, I know, but New York's gonna buy you drinks and some dinner if you stay, right? Because that solves everything. The fact that a governor said something like that, it's just mind-boggling. I cannot believe the sheer stupidity of that. It's shockingly stupid. Just shockingly stupid. What else can we talk about here? I started late and I can't stay much more beyond like noon and lunchtime, so let's see here. What else, if there's anything else I want to talk about real quick. In the meantime, while I'm exploring my stuff that I put aside, I could do some shameless self-promotion. Hey, if you like hearing me drink coffee on stream, rant and rave, and talk about, how terrible New York City is, please consider donating. Streamlabs.com/TheEternalAbyss. If you prefer to send me cryptocurrency, you can do so. I have an Ethereum wallet that's in the description in the video on Bitwave, Twitch, YouTube, DLive. Or if you want to just buy me a coffee on ko-fi.com/TheEternalAbyss, you could do that as well. I accept coffee. Why not? But more than that, honestly, the best thing that anybody can do for me is just give me a follow, give me a view, give me a share, give me a subscribe on all the different platforms that I'm on. You can find all the platforms. I'm not going to list all of them because there's too many. But, oh yes, I wanted to talk about this. That's one thing I wanted to talk about. We'll do that and then we can end it on this note. So, you can go on my Twitter and you can find all the platforms that I'm on, and make sure you follow, you share, you subscribe, and you help spread the good word. More views means more to me than any sort of donation. So if you can do that, thank you for your support. And we'll go back into the news item here, because I want to talk about this piece of crap right here. this guy who's known as the census cowboy. So there's a guy who was appointed by Mayor Lightfoot of Chicago. And he's known as Chicago's census cowboy. He rode a horse until it bled to draw attention to social justice, to his social justice cause. He didn't have proper shoes for pavement and suffered extensive damage galloping for 7.9 miles, I think, something like that, almost 8 miles. And the horse will be put down now. What a piece of shit. This guy should be charged with animal abuse. So should the mayor. She enabled this sort of thing. This is what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about liability. And this what needs to happen with people that are in power, elected officials that make poor decisions, idiotic decisions that have a direct consequence of harm. Mayor Lightfoot is directly responsible for the death of that horse, for that act of animal abuse. That's cruel. That's disgusting. And she should be charged just as much as this census cowboy. Excuse me. It's beyond me. It is beyond me what goes through the minds of these morons. It just doesn't make any sense to me. You want to kill an animal that has nothing to do with anything that's happening on this world, in your city, in your county, in your state, in this country. The horse has nothing to do with it. But you have to kill an innocent animal because you want to make a political point. What a piece of trash you are. You and Mayor Lightfoot. My God. In other frustrating news, so there's a mob of people in LA. They block the streets. A car drives through carefully without trying to hurt anybody. The mob tries to block him in, and he drives off. And they were beating on the car. They're trying to smash the car. They're trying to pull him out. They're chasing him down. They're trying to harm the driver. The driver escapes, and the police arrest the driver. I don't even have words. I don't even have words. What are you supposed to say to something like that? So someone can in LA, you cannot defend yourself anymore. Are you kidding me? They're throwing bikes on the car. They're smashing the windshield in. This is ridiculous. The police arrest the driver of the car. What kind of fucking, excuse my language, but what kind of fucking bizarre world are we living in right now? Are you serious? I cannot believe the crap that I'm seeing right now with this whole all these riots and all this nonsense. I cannot believe the authoritarianism that's happening right now in certain places like California. I cannot believe the terrible leadership that are in those riot and anarchist jurisdictions. That they're just letting people run amok. They're letting people that are committing crimes free, and people who are trying to defend themselves and law-abiding citizens, they're the ones that are getting arrested. This is bizarro land. I cannot believe this. Related to that, something interesting, and there's like a group of Bulgarian soccer fans. They have this huge banner that they say that Kyle Rittenhouse did nothing wrong. He is a hero. That's amazing. I just retweeted that. I found that to be quite amazing, actually. That Bulgarians can see what's happening. Bulgarians can see what's happening, and they go, "Oh, well, you know, the guy did nothing wrong." And another quick news item that I wanted to talk about, because we've been talking about term limits. I've talked about term limits a lot. Okay. He is being charged with with aggravated animal assault. Good. Good. Oh, well, you know, they can try and come to and beat the crap out of me if I was in a car or something like that. I don't care. I'm gonna drive. I'm gonna drive, and if I need to provide defense weapons for myself in case I get pulled out or physically attacked, I will. If I happen to be living in a city where a protest happens, like I went to get a pizza the other day, and I passed by a group of protesters here where I'm at. But also then the other day, this happened another time that I went to get pizza, and I get pizza way too often apparently. But I went to get pizza again, and there was a whole Trump rally. Not an actual Trump being there, but I mean there was a group of people. There was a pro-Trump manifestation. So you get both sides where I'm at here. But thank goodness both of them were peaceful. Yeah, everyone who saw the video saw what happened. The guy was being chased down. He had a gun pointed at his head. The guy defended himself. I don't care. That's self-defense. But I just thought it was funny that I saw that I saw that here, and I was thinking about that. If these people decide to go violent, I mean, there are police everywhere. With the BLM group that was out here, and it was a small group. I think it was like maybe 12 people at most. Maybe 15. And there were police everywhere, and they got arrested because they started walking in the street. So you have that. But I was talking about term limits. I've talked about term limits a lot, actually. And apparently, where was that? I just had this up. So the Democrats are introducing a bill in limiting U.S. Supreme Court justice terms to just 18 years. I find that fascinating, and honestly, like I said, I've always welcomed term limits for everybody, including justices. So I'm not opposed to this. This is something that I can be on board with the Democrats. This is something that I think should happen. I question the motivations of the Democrats when it comes to this sort of thing, because, you know, it's obviously political that they're doing this. It's not because they have any sort of care for the Supreme Court. They never had any real care for the Supreme Court, because if they did, they would have introduced something like this far sooner. This is purely a political move. Ben Shapiro made a tweet about that, saying that a constitutional amendment is required for that sort of thing. I believe that that's true, that you do need a constitutional amendment for the Supreme Court. I don't think you need that for Congress, though. There's no constitutional requirement for that. I think it does say in the Constitution that the Supreme Court nominees are for life. So that's why you would need to do an amendment for that in the Constitution for the Supreme Court. But I'm on board with this. I'm not sure about the 18 years, if that's the right number for me. I think it probably is a good number for a term limit for the Supreme Court. I'm not sure. I'd have to think about that in terms of what I think would be a good number, if I agree or disagree with that. But generally speaking, this should have been done a long time ago. If you're going to introduce term limits, this isn't something that you should just do for sheer politics because you don't like who the nominee is, and you're trying to limit the number of conservatives on the court because you just realized you're screwed. You just realized that your side isn't going to see a liberal on the Supreme Court in quite a while. That's why they're introducing this. I mean, let's be honest. The Democrats are doing this purely for political reasons. It's obvious. It's obvious that that's why they're doing this. Nothing more, nothing less. And I think that it would make far more sense to do this on every level of government. Honestly, every level of government requires this sort of thing, in my opinion. I've talked about this many a time. This isn't a new topic this isn't new ground that we cover. Let's just put it that way. It is not. Anybody who's listened to my stream regularly will know this is something that I rant about pretty regularly. But I'm a firm believer that there has to be checks and balances, that there has to be more than just lifetime appointments, directly or indirectly. Because some of these senators and representatives, they pretty much have lifetime appointments. They pretty much do. This isn't anything in particular about this isn't anything in particular about one party or the other. To me, it's just how the system works. There's nothing secretive about this. It's very easy for someone to get into office and then just be there for their entire life. They make it. That's why you have these career politicians. That's what they do. That's what AOC has done. She has no qualifications to be in government. She has no qualifications to even, breathe air. But that's a different aspect because she's just incredibly stupid. But she's in there now, and she's earning six-figure salary doing nothing. Sitting on her ass, ranting and raving about her socialist manifesto. That's all she does. And now that she's an incumbent, there's a good chance that she's going to keep winning that seat. She's going to keep it. She's going to be there basically for life. And the people that are going to suffer for it are people like myself that have to listen to her drivel. And the people of New York, because she's not going to help them in any shape, way, or form. But somehow they're going to keep voting for her because being that it's a super blue district, it's kind of like Pelosi said, just add a D to a glass of water, they're going to get elected. Add a D to anything, they're going to get elected. My doorbell just rang. Please stand by. Actually, I need to go. So I want to say thanks for everybody for watching. I'm going to sign off here. And we'll see you on Monday. Remember, kids, don't be complacent. We'll talk soon. I gotta go.